Hey.
Hey now, and welcome, and hello. Sorry, jeez, wow, we're already fucking up. Hello, and welcome to this special episode of Prophetcast. Today is October 26th, 2014, and as always, Prophetcast is brought to you by the Thought Prophets. The Thought Prophets is an atheist/secular group dedicated to the promotion of continuous learning, open discussion, skepticism, and science. Woo! You can check us out at thoughtprophets.com, follow us on Twitter at Prophetcast and at ThoughtProphets. Join our discussion on Facebook by simply searching for Thought Prophets. Find us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, or go to podcast.thoughtprophets.com and watch our entire archive on YouTube by searching for Prophetcast. And as a reminder, you can tweet your questions and comments to us directly by mentioning at Prophetcast or using the hashtag Prophetcast. And for those of you cool enough to be watching on Google+, you can just use the live Q&A.
Q&A.
As always, I'm David Curry, and as always, that gentleman right over there is my partner in crime, Mr. Steve Hayes.
Hello.
Hello. And, hi.
Hi.
Can I continue with my announcements, or
Yep.
do you want to announce our two special guests joining us tonight?
Your voice is so angelic, if you will.
Okay.
Plus, you have it written out, and I haven't read it. I'll be completely honest.
Make it a little bit smoothie for you. And this is our first episode of its kind, where we take a topic and bring people to discuss the opposite opinions surrounding it. And tonight that topic is actually going to be the hashtag NormalizeAtheism and the varied opinions of it. Our first special guest tonight, a man of frequent guest and mention on our show, the host of Quranify MePodcast, Mr. Paul Qcaster.
Hey guys, how you all doing?
What's up, Paul?
I'm doing good.
Nice to be on again.
Right. I love the virtual hug before the show. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's getting all right.
Digital hugs. And our second guest tonight, and who is the founder of Be Secular, co-host of the Raw Men podcast,
Yeah.
and the originator of our topic tonight, Mr. Mark Nebo. I did pronounce that.
Yeah, you
right?
pronounced it correctly.
Okay.
Long E.
Long E.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I want to say right away that Be Secular and the Normalize Atheism campaign are not associated with each other, other than the fact that I started them all.
Right.
No.
Interesting. Didn't know if you were using it as like a front to your pyramid schemes.
No, the one thing that did link them minorly is the first run of shirts that we made. That's funding the contest that Be Secular has going right now for people to win tickets to American Atheist Conference. They can win two, which is about a $700 value if you've ever been to American Atheist Conference.
Yeah, I actually saw that. I mean, like, what do people have to do to get into the contest or try to win the tickets?
Well,
If it's shirtless pics, I've got lots of them.
No, well, those aren't going to hurt. You could probably grease the skids with that.
Hey.
If you go to my Facebook profile, which is public, just search Mark Nebo for people that aren't friends with me. Please add me as a friend or follow me. I'm almost full. But
Jeez.
They can find the video on there. It's a video. It's just entitled "Win Tickets to American Atheist Conference or Wild Goose Festival," and basically all you have to do is do a 2 to 3 minute video entitled "Why It's Important to Be Secular," and then tell us why it is important to be secular and why secularism is important in general. And David Silverman from American Atheists, Shannon Nebo, the president of Be Secular, and my wife, and Mark Sandlin from the Huffington Post and the God article will be judging the 3 most viewed videos at the end of November and picking one winner, and that winner will be able to choose from either 2 tickets to American Atheist Conference in Memphis or 2 tickets to the Wild Goose Festival in Hot Springs, North Carolina, which is the largest progressive Christian festival in the U.S.
Wow.
Damn.
That'd be intense.
I expect all 3 of you to at least enter once.
Oh, yes.
I mean, we could probably take part of this episode and make it into our.
I was going to say,
we're sure that we'll be talking about Be Secular and everything.
Adding me to your video does not get you preferential treatment.
Come on.
Ah.
I'm here to talk about normalized atheism, which is good. And the shirts have actually moved over to Compass 120. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. They're a large free thought apparel company, compass120.com, and they have partnered with me to be the exclusive provider of the Normalized Atheism campaign shirts. And all the money that will be raised from here going forward is going to be put back into the campaign. We're going to try to do things like commercials and billboards and things like that if things continue to grow.
Wow. Okay. So then, have you already like kind of established a I guess a group or an organization, or is it attached to be secular? You said it wasn't part of it.
It's not really. It's like a sole mission of just Shannon and I's.
Right.
I copyrighted the domain and the name and trademarked the idea under myself, basically. And I have all the social media outlets and whatnot, even though I haven't rolled some of them out yet. But it's going to grow, I imagine, on its own, like it has. I think it's been tweeted about 25 or 30,000 times since it started. And I'm hoping that more people continue to use the hashtag. And some of the stories on there about why normalizing atheism is important, they range from things like I live in a country where atheism will get you killed, all the way to I like to make cookies with my daughter just like Christians like to make cookies with their daughter. So that's the range of stories.
Exactly. Yeah, I did look over a lot of the tweets before coming on the show here, and I grabbed kind of a different range of tweets that were on here, ranging, like you said, anywhere from at author Pat Hall saying hashtag normalize atheism because the only job hashtag atheist should be denied is priesthood. And people like Nancy Drew saying atheists shouldn't be hated, despised, or lose family, friends, or careers just because of not believing hashtag normalize atheism. But then there were also tweets, and this is where your side of things come in, Paul, where you'll have people who make comments like James Lindsay at God Doesn't said, while I think hashtag normalize atheism is inherently misguided, I think hashtag normalize not believing is the noble campaign it's looking for. And then I thought this was kind of interesting since you just put out t-shirts. Joshua St. John said, when something like the hashtag normalize atheism conversation is packaged into a t-shirt to be sold, it becomes the antithesis of free thought. I mean, what do you two think of that?
I would say that I hear that all the time because I'm in the business of, pushing around ideas via media and via shirts and things like that.
Right.
And everybody seems to be fine with an idea until someone either tries to make money off of it. Like, this is not that case, but I'm sure it can seem that way to some people. But if somebody tries to make money off it, or if they try to do something where people could take the next step and wear something like a normalized atheism shirt to soccer practice or something, it seems like people have a weird disconnect between money exchanging hands and it still being a powerful tool for activism, and that's just not right. I mean, look at guys like Seth Andrews and my podcast partner Aaron Ra and Matt Doherty, and these guys have been doing things for a long time that a lot of us have used to strengthen our activism, or even start being an activist, or come out of the closet about being an atheist. And even those guys, they start a Patreon page where they want to have some funds to continue their mission, and people are saying the same stuff to them, saying, "Oh, I mean, why should we be paying you for this stuff when we can get it for free on YouTube?" And I think anytime money comes into it, you're going to have some people that feel frustrated by that.
Yeah. So,
Definitely.
Paul, Steve, do you guys have any comments, or?
Yeah,
Feel
definitely.
free to jump in, guys. Jeez.
Like, from what I've at least heard from Paul, that it hasn't been, like, I know your side of things, Paul, at least, isn't really about money. It's less about that, and it's more kind of about hiding behind the hashtag thing, I suppose. As much as I'd like to talk for people, I guess since you're on the show, I'll let you speak.
You guys made me stay up late. I would appreciate that.
Well, yeah.
No,
Old people. Man.
I agree. I agree with Mark on that one. I don't. You guys have a different format than what I have.
Right, because
what
you
Mark
actually
was
use
just
Patreon, like you have
right.
people who pay to help fund your show.
Right, and I agree with Mark. That gets lost in the shuffle a lot of times. A lot of times,
Definitely.
people will use. People have their own self-interest in everything that they do, and when Mark hears that kind of feedback about tagging a T-shirt sale, even if Mark were to give 100% of all proceeds ever to the T-shirt sale, he'd still have 1,000 people out there complaining about what he's doing and trying to tie it to that capitalistic aspect of it, and it's misguided, and it kind of goes back to what you just hinted at, Steve. It's certain people will leverage what they need to leverage in order for them to remain within their comfort zone. So if I can accuse Mark of wanting to do this for no other reason than to make money, then I get to still come out as the moral victor. I get to come out on top and go, see, I told you that Nebo guy was only doing this for money. That was the only reason. And it makes people comfortable. I get the same kind of feedback on the show.
Right.
I ask for Patreon support. I get Patreon support. And lately, I've started a 50 by 50 campaign for my show because I would like to ultimately get to 50 patrons, and that would make me very happy, regardless of the monetary aspect of it. There's an investment that goes into it, into all of this stuff, and we can talk about that at some other point. But it's not about the money. Mark can't do the work that Mark's doing, footing the bill completely himself. It's not practical. So I really have to look at people whose initial reaction is one of resistance. If your immediate reaction is resistance, you're the first person I'm going to look at, not somebody like Mark who's trying to do something to make a difference.
So then I guess we'll, Steve, since you're kind of, in the mix of the guests here, and Paul, what were your guys' initial reaction to seeing, what was the first instance that you saw the campaign and your reactions to it, I suppose?
Mine, I put out a tag because I kind of like at least the initial concept. I saw Mark's, it may very well have been the first hashtag that you put out, and then I kind of read a brief idea of kind of a briefing of the concept, and I put out one tweet that basically just kind of said that I want normalized atheism because I want my children and the people around to ask, what can I do, rather than say, I'll pray for you. So I kind of thought that was a great way to conceptualize that initial concept, at least from what I read of it. So I kind of like the concept, and I like the idea of speaking out and doing something. And so, yeah, I kind of jumped on board, and then it wasn't until I think a little bit, like 5 days, 6 days, a couple days later, Paul's blog, and actually kind of really made me think about those that actually just kind of use it and use hashtags and use the kind of the social media to boost themselves, and then to not really do anything. Like, all they do is just try to get more followers and things, just so they can basically get the attention, if you will, and they don't they don't do anything with their activism, if they will, or help anybody.
I mean, after the first interaction I had about all of this that started this conversation, I tagged on an additional hashtag when I was putting out the shirts, and I said, normalize atheism is one of the hashtags. The other one I put in there was like, do more than keyboard. That's another hashtag I was using. And that could be used for anything, but that's perfect for this example, because I think more important than, it's important for people to be online because a lot of people are in a situation where they can't be themselves in their daily life. But if they can, they should, because it's just like with coming out as gay. The more people that do it, the easier it is for more people to do it, and so on and so on.
Definitely.
So I think that the idea of normalized atheism in general is to snowball into more than hashtag activism.
Right.
And shirts and hopefully the ad campaigns and stuff that we can get from the sales of the shirts will eventually, make something out of this. I don't know. If it never goes any farther, then people reading a story, a 140 character story in a tweet that makes them think, you know what, I need to, in my daily life, at least say I'm an atheist or not be afraid to, then that's a pretty good outcome in itself. But if it becomes more and more and becomes a cultural thing that people can really rally behind, that'd be great.
So
Yeah.
how do you feel about that, Paul? Then what's
I mean, kind of going back to what was your initial reaction and I guess kind of response to?
Paul, you have 2 minutes. Go.
No,
Go.
go.
We weren't doing this. Yeah.
Sorry, I really
crossfire.
No, I didn't get to see Mark launch it. Actually, Mark and I weren't even following each other until this whole thing blew up. What I did see was early on in the campaign, and it was probably a lot of people can identify with it. It was, a timeline that was inundated with this new hashtag. I didn't know Mark. His name was familiar because of, folks like Cash over Atheists on Air and stuff like that. But as far as the campaign, I hadn't heard anything of it. I thought, oh, Jesus, here we go again. Yet another campaign, yet another excuse for people to ride on the coattails of those who go and do. I'll celebrate anybody who goes and does, but I don't celebrate, nor do I excuse those folks who will consciously ride their coattails. And that's what I saw. My initial reaction, and maybe it was the timing of it, but there were so many people doing it, and the stories were, I mean, I've been there, I've done that. Your viewers have heard my story before. I came out of atheism too. I wasn't born an atheist. I came out of Catholicism. I came down hard. I crashed hard, and I went through a lot of those things. I saw in folks using that, but at the same time, the underpinnings were there for the people that I targeted in my video that I released on it. That got a reaction out of a number of people, and ultimately led to Mark coming across it and seeing it. And the irony is whereas a lot of folks could at least identify or respect my position on it, there were a lot of folks who also couldn't or refused to. Mark was not one of those guys. At first he was, I don't want to speak for you, Mark, but at first he was, what's this? And then within 10 minutes of us chatting over Twitter, we had both come to an understanding that we viewed this differently. It was amazing. It was a beautiful thing how quickly he and I saw where we were. But those interesting folks, those folks that I was intentionally targeting, they're the ones who were more resistant. Long after Mark had moved on to other things, those strap hangers were still there trying to raise a stink about it because I was being divisive or et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm. And so, I mean, it sounds kind of like you're worried about the same environment that came along with, because you were involved with the Free Mubarak campaign and still involved with that, and how there were a lot of people that just kind of latched onto it, said that they were involved, but really were just, retweeting and putting the tweet up there. And
I will speak for the small section of those people. Because even if all they're doing is puffing up their own chest and making themselves feel self-important by doing these things, every single time something's retweeted, it may reach someone that it does impact and that will make a difference. David Smalley has a quote that says, "The next mind you change may change the world." So every single person that sees a tweet, they could do something with that. So even if it's a person that's just sucking their own dick basically and trying to feel self-important, they still could impact someone that will really do some shit. So it's every single one is a part of the flood, really, and a rising tide raises all boats.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I know that I'm kind of living proof of that. I initially started questioning my faith I don't even remember how many years ago now. It's some around 2 or something. And I started a group on Facebook and just basically tried to, I was really angry when I realized what religion, like how infected, religion was and everything. And I just started speaking out, and eventually, I kind of I had the conversation with my wife, and then I had the conversation with David, and then from there, it just kind of, it just kind of blew up, and we started a podcast, and we started talking, and now we're to the point where we're talking with people like you guys who, are actively, activists, actually doing things and trying to make a difference, and
Right.
and it is kind of just amazing, just kind of how that can unfold when you find other people that enjoy the same thing that you do, and it can be just as passionate as you, so.
And
Yeah.
I mean, we also share the idea that even if nobody watches our fucking podcast, like if we had 0 viewers right now, it wouldn't matter, just because we put this out on different formats and it can get out to people, and there may be someone who will come across it too.
It does. Anytime you put something out on the internet, somebody's going to see it eventually. And I mean, the people that see it, 90% of the people may not give a shit. But if it changes one person's life and puts them in the direction that can make them an activist or change somebody else's life, everything is intertwined. Humanity is an organism unto itself. It's not a bunch of pieces that grow together. So it's important to keep messages going and keep information going, and that's why, I mean, if somebody buys a NormalizeAtheism shirt, well, I think you can get at NormalizeAtheism.com, by the way. And they do now come in ladies. They do come now in ladies V-necks because so many women asked about that. We have that now. So
Interesting.
But if somebody wears a NormalizeAtheism shirt out, and somebody looks at that and says, what does that mean? Because there's no website on it or anything. It's just a hashtag. People know what hashtags are. Well, this is 2014. They're going to go to Twitter, plug in the hashtag, and they may see a story that changes their life. So it's all a process, man.
Yeah, and we got a message here from the lovely Amanda Hayes, and of course, those who are watching, if you are watching from the event page, you can join the Q&A. There should be a link in the YouTube there for you. But she says, yes, Mark, exactly. In the fight to do exactly what the hashtag says, whether you donate money to Freedom from Religion Foundation or tweet to jump on the bandwagon, any tweet is beneficial. And then she also says, it doesn't seem... Right. It doesn't seem fair to vilify people for hopping on a bandwagon when we are trying to create a bandwagon to begin with. The idea is to normalize atheism. Why complain when tweeting does exactly that? Who cares if that's all they do?
Even before somebody says this, because I'm sure someone will, even if somebody says something destructive in itself with the hashtag, that's still helpful, because everybody's going to jump onto that. They're going to respond to that. They're going to point out how stupid that person is, and that's going to help to normalize it as well. I mean, no press is bad press in a system like this, because the cream's going to rise to the top. The bad things are going to be hashed out and filtered out, and eventually people are going to start, doing more and more good stuff.
What do you think, Paul? Do you have a response to Amanda and her craziness?
No, she's going to kick my ass. I told you that. I put that out there for the world to see. No, actually, I mean, Amanda hits on kind of the spirit of what my problem/concern is with this. And Mark kind of hinted at it, too. In a vacuum, both of them are right. They're correct. However, I don't look at the world in a vacuum. I take a macro perspective of the world. Normalized atheism is not a one-off. It's not the first that ever came along. It won't be the last that ever came along. As a matter of fact, there was another one that came along days after it. I want everybody to hear, not listen to me, but hear me on this.
I'm trying.
I agree that one difference in a life that it makes is a positive. What my worry is, and what a lot of people missed because they want to protect their own biases, is that could ultimately, the cost benefit of it could actually have a higher cost than it could have a benefit. Now, who's to say what the value of the benefit, right? If it changes one life, that's an immense benefit. Okay, great. What if it turns off 10 fence-riding, moderate Christians who could have come over to our side a year from now? They could have thought through this, and in the 10 lives that they impact, in the 100 lives that they impact, versus that one person that it changed. Because when we inundate, when it comes across as whining and that persecution complex, like it did in a lot of those tweets, if you are not an atheist already bought in, you're observing from the outside in, how much of that message resonates with you when you're being inundated with this hashtag? Or if you're curious, you're like, well, what's up with all those atheists? Let me check out this hashtag. And you look at a bunch of people whining. Because, let's be adults for a second. Let's be adults. Yeah, it does suck. But seriously, putting up a fucking monument of the 10 Commandments at your state capitol, who cares? If that's our biggest problem, if that's what we're worried about, we've got our priorities fucking wrong. There are a million other more important issues than that. So, and again, just basic math, changing one life, yeah, I'm all for that, totally down with it, and I agree with everybody. But I worry, because I can't see the future, I worry how many people that message may have turned off. I'll test you guys here live on the air. What was that hashtag that came out 3 days after Normalize Atheism? What was it? It was
apostate story.
Yeah, apostate story. Yeah, that was it.
There we go.
Mark, but that was a different thing. I mean,
it was.
But it was something that was piggybacked onto the hashtag Normalize Atheism, though.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say. I mean, as well, that might be one thing they see as some of the whiners, but when it comes to just atheism in general, seeing that whining versus seeing just the pure, like, atheists are dicks and atheists are nothing but angry, I mean, that's a lot of the stereotype as well. So, I mean, when it comes to people who are on the fence looking up atheism, if they're on the fence looking up their beliefs, what somebody says about atheism shouldn't necessarily matter, because I would hope that they would be looking, you know, more into, you know, what do I believe versus what label do I want to necessarily subscribe to. But I mean, besides stepping that, it's just, you know, I think that, again, you know, just kind of like we were going back to, kind of like Mark was saying before, just all of the attention to it does help normalize it. Getting it out there does get people to talk about it, and at least get people to have conversations, and that helps. Like, I know that just me being vocal and saying that I'm an atheist has brought up so many conversations, and also a lot of people who don't sit with me on the train anymore. But at least a lot of conversations that have started to get people to think, and at least I know I can count a lot of people that I know that have now come out and said, yeah, I'm an atheist, and at least, you know, subscribe to that label too.
Right,
so.
Steve, but if you are sitting on the train and you're having that conversation about being an atheist, and they go, oh, cool, not for me, bro, that's cool, and then Dave walks up and talks to them immediately after you're done, and they brush him off, and then I walk right up immediately to them after Dave is done. Do you see what I'm saying? At some point, I've now become jaded to your message. Your message is not getting through to me, and as a matter of fact, I might, depending on my personality, actively become resistant to it. And can we, in our infancy as a movement, can we afford turning off those people who might receive it?
I would think.
I'm not suggesting that 3 people go talk to the same person either, though. I mean, it's.
What does a hashtag do, though?
Hashtag, it allows someone who is looking for that information to find it, to find something that a lot of people that are at least talking about, that are inside of the community, to jump onto. I think that,
I thought that
maybe. I mean, I think it's interesting. I think of really interesting points. I just think that, I don't know, it's a place, it's a starter for a conversation at a bare minimum. If someone says, just, you know, what is normalized atheism, or I read this tweet that somebody said something douchey, and it's just like, yeah, you know, I agree or disagree with that, and then you start a conversation, and then they go, yeah, I read, then maybe they say, I read this tweet, but then I talked to this atheist, and he kind of helped me see that, you know what, maybe that dude was being an asshole, and actually what they were talking about was more maybe this.
For my comment, I mean, I would also think that those who were to, you know, see that hashtag and then go onto Twitter and look it up and only focus on, you know, those stories of that they considered, you know, atheist bitching and complaining, that they would almost already have a bias. Or
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just going to say. I was going to say, how many times in your times talking to people that left faith and ended up being an atheist, how many times have you heard of examples where someone that had earnest and honest doubt, an honest interest, an honest curiosity about non-faith, that have gone out into the internet and investigated anything, how many of them have gone out and then went back to the faith? Full bore. Not many. Usually once you start down that path, once that seed is in there, if you do one of two things, you land like my very good friend Mark Sandlin has landed, with a very different impersonation of the Bible and of Jesus in general, and of what God wants people to do, and then you become a full-on humanist, basically, that just has a champion in Jesus, or you end up to be an atheist. People don't start on a very dogmatic and crippling and conservative mindset, have doubt, start down that road, and then go back. The road's not a two-way street 99% of the time. So I think anytime we can encourage people to go out onto the internet and look up things like skepticism and look up things about atheism and very progressive faith and very liberal faith, that we're only going to end up pushing them away from the abusive side of life.
Yeah. Yeah, and that kind of goes along with what Heretic Woman. Hello, also Heretic Woman. I missed you in the beginning there, but she says even if those on the fence see a lot of angry atheists, if that is enough to sway their ultimate decision against reason, they weren't really on the fence, in her opinion. And there was another comment from somebody on here, but I think they removed it or something about how. Something about the Free Mubarak campaign, how a lot of people were not happy or behind that or something. You should post up that comment again.
Well, here, let me help you, because I noticed that when it came right up, so I want to address it. It was from Christina.
Yeah.
Christina claimed that it was the sheer volume of tweets and retweets that got Mubarak freed. And Christina, I'm sorry, you're wrong. What got Mubarak freed was Godless Mom and me starting out really pushing that and looking for help, getting interference from people like Russell down at Atheist Experience. Huge interference by him. He got freed because Godless Mom worked her ass off with people like Nancy Drew. I had to move out of the picture a little bit because of real-world job requirements, but Nancy Drew picked up, Dee picked up, Bammy, the guy that I just talked to in episode 36, in Nigeria, put his safety at risk to physically go. Bob at IHEU in England, at Humanist Organization, got people involved and things were done. That's what saved Mubarak, not a hashtag. Let's be very clear about that. Now, we can reason it all the way back to raising awareness, but that's a cheap connection to make. It takes boots on the ground. It takes people, human beings, doing for Mubarak to be the free man that he is today. That hashtag had nothing to do with it. Sorry, had nothing to do with it. You weren't in my house. You didn't see the 20 hours that weekend that I invested with Godless Mom trying to go, what the hell do we do with this? How do we save a man's life? How do we do it safely?
Right.
One of my biggest critics, the person who tagged Mark in the original tweet when I put my video up, I don't know what the hell her Twitter account is now, I don't care. She was originally known as Bible BS. She was the loudest critic of my video. Do you know what Bible BS did? Bible BS was also involved in the Free Mubarak from day number one, and she was the first one to bail on it when things needed to be done, and she used personal reasons. I've got a lot going on in my life. Big fucking deal. I've got a lot going on in my life too. When the rubber meets the road and when people need to do is the test of the character. She was the loudest, and that's what I got. A lot of the pushback that I got were atheists who want to jump on these things, whine about how tough it is to be an atheist, but they're not willing to do to fix the situation. And I'll call those people to the carpet every single day of the week. I don't care whose feelings I hurt or who I upset.
Right. No, that's
Absolutely. But
admirable, yeah.
I think that there is kind of a definitive difference between, the whole issue that was behind the Free Mubarak hashtag and the normalized atheism, where the Free Mubarak campaign, that was directly affecting a singular person's life.
Man's life, yeah, definitely.
The normalized atheism campaign seems more like a PR kind of campaign to get people to recognize or see something.
Again, I feel like it's a way to get a conversation started. It's a conversation starter to help with, to the next step, like to maybe finding someone like me who did pick up the idea of, oh yeah, I don't actually believe that shit, and I want to do something about it, and started talking to people, made a group, and actually go to an atheist parents group and talk with them about being vocal and how we can teach our kids and what we can do against the nonsense that's happening inside our own community, because we're heavily Christian where we are. It's fucking nonsense out here. So, but yeah, I don't know.
I think Steve, I think you're right on with it. We have to get the dialogue going. We have
Definitely.
to. But we have to get enough. If we want to put the problem with our movement is we have no fucking leaders. We have nobody who's an effective leader. Somebody has to pull up to the 40,000-foot view and look at everything that's happening. And we don't have that yet. Maybe we'll get there sometime.
Well, people just haven't found my Twitter account yet. I'll be honest with you. That's really the problem here. That's what's going on. I'll be honest.
You're right. You've got a valid point. Yes, we have to have a dialogue. We have to. My fear, and what I want other people to think about, anybody, this is not aimed at Mark. I like what Mark's doing, and the fact that he's giving to the community. Who am I to freaking voice against that? He's actually doing. He's one of those people that I was talking about.
Yes.
But my fear is, we've got advocates who will never, kind of going back to what Mark said, kind of going back to what Heretic Woman said, they're never going to get off that fence. They're never going to come to our side. They're going
to stick with the agnostic label.
They're going to stay there. You're damn right, Dave. You're damn right. They're going to stick there. Those are the people that we need. Are we hurting that extension of the olive branch to them by not just Mark's campaign? In aggregate, look at all these things that we do. Does that damage? And I think that's the dialogue that I wanted to get going, but instead I got a bunch of people who had their panties twisted because it got too close to them, and they're in action.
Some of us like our panties twisted.
I like the color of your panties, so don't. Hey, I'm not judging you. You wear them all you want. It's it's the herd bias. Human beings have a tendency to go with the crowd, and I saw a lot of that. And it's my.
Well, that's why we make
kind of perspective on
it different.
Well, I'm sorry, Mark. What was that?
Like what you're saying is exactly right. That the humans do stick with the crowd. That's why we have to make the crowd go the way we want, and that's how we do things like normalize atheism. Because if we make it quote unquote cool to be part of that, people will be part of that. Now, if you've got 400 people doing shit and 5,000 people not doing shit, but they're talking about the shit that's being done, that helps.
And that's my fear with the hashtag stuff. Tweets last for about 15 seconds. That's about the lifespan of a tweet. Now, I looked at the Normalize Atheism on Friday while I was at work. There were 17 mentions of it in the past 7 days, from Friday to Friday. And that's not a knock on anybody. That's just a reflection of human behavior. That's how quickly we move on. So normalize. If we weren't having this conversation, how many people would even be talking about it still, or the agnostic experience, or whatever's going to come next? Words.
There's an agnostic experience.
I hope not.
Apostate experience. I know, right?
Apostate. Yeah, I was going to say, well, that was the next step, though, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing that folks have to remember. Words don't mean shit. You can talk to me all day long. They don't mean a damn thing. It's what you're actually willing to do. Now, Steve, like you've got all kinds of ideas you're talking about. You're talking about the sacks. I love the sack idea. I think you went a little far, but that's okay. You're a dreamer.
Right.
drain it, and then help people, settle you down again and get it to something realistic.
You can
Exactly.
even say
That
that
is
Steve is a dream weaver.
He's a dream weaver. Ooh, wow.
Hey.
I believe he
Something
can.
like that is that's the dialogue that needs to happen versus the one woman I mentioned in my video who used the NormalizeAtheism hashtag so she could talk about not feeling bad anymore that she's dishonest with the important people in her life. Fucking serious? Serious? You want to whine about, gee, I wish we could normalize atheism. You have the power right here. You have the power to talk to those people. Maybe you can't. Maybe it's not safe.
I can agree with you, Paul, where, some of the tweets, where it does come down to that thing where it's like, well, really, that's more of a self issue. Being deceptive to the people around you and not being able to be the person that you are to those people. I mean, sure, that is a byproduct of atheism, being the most distrusted group in I think it was the nation or the world, but
The nation at least.
that also is kind of a byproduct of, we should help to make it normalized so that these people don't even have to be in that situation, though.
Yeah. We're not going to do that though, Dave. They're going to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a self thing that they need to get
Right.
over. It's the stigma of their situation having to do that.
David Silverman could be elected as president tomorrow, and it's not going to change that woman's situation. She's going to have to do the things necessary, and that's one of the problems with a lot of the people in this crowd who tend to lean to the extremes. They're not willing to accept that accountability. Accountability is a difficult thing for a lot of people to accept, and they have to own it. And they're what you're talking about is a great example. It doesn't matter what we do tomorrow. Normalize atheism. Everybody in an entire city could be wearing that T-shirt, and there's still going to be that person out there that's not willing to take that necessary step to normalize it in their life and get people to accept them for who they are.
Well, another thing that I'm a proponent of, and Shannon and my wife, the president of Be Secular, and I, what we speak about at the last conferences we spoke in Orlando about it, and we spoke in Pittsburgh about it a few weeks before that, is that it takes all sorts in this. We talk about the scientists, we talk about the litigation experts, we talk about the educators, we talk about the
Sexy podcasters.
we talk about the sexy podcasters. We talk about everybody, and everybody has a different interest. Some people are into suing about in God we trust in the money. Some people are into raising money for Dale McGowan at Foundation Beyond Belief. Some people are into race issues, and some people are into feminist issues. It takes all sorts of tools for this. If you try to screw in a hammer, it's not going to work. So we need all different parts of this. And if somebody is a Twitter person and all they can do is talk on Twitter, I may agree with you guys in the aspect that may be a very tiny piece, but I always encourage everybody to do whatever they can do, whatever they feel comfortable doing. Sure. Not everybody's a surgeon, I suppose.
So, real quick, I guess that Nancy and Amanda and Cordy here are saying that there's something wrong with our stream. It keeps, I don't know, it's frozen for some people. So I don't know how much of this people have been hearing.
Great.
Hopefully it's, I know, right? Hopefully it's still all recorded.
Yeah. Oh, man. Thank you, Google.
I know, right? So...
Well, it's great on my end.
All right. Well, I mean,
I know, right?
It's not like it's late for Mark or anything, so let's just start over. Okay, so... Hi, Mark.
Hi, welcome to the...
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Well, interesting. Yeah, hopefully this, like I said, records. We'll definitely check it afterwards because I'm one of those guys that goes back and listens to the recording directly after.
You listen to yourself?
Oh, I do it all the time. It's the
yeah,
best way to go back and review yourself. I want to know if I've made mistakes. So I don't. And here's the crazy part: I haven't yet found a mistake. So I don't know. I guess I'm just that good, right?
Supposedly we are back. Yeah, exactly. Supposedly we are back.
Who knows how many things I missed?
Right? Oh, right. You missed exactly. Like there was punching and things. It was nuts.
It got ugly.
Right. My office is a mess now. Did you see this? It was a mess before.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, well, shit. Anyways, like I said, we'll go back and definitely listen. Hopefully, it all downloaded. But that was I thought that was a great conversation.
What were we talking about? Who doesn't have the ADD here?
I know, right? Hey, I know, right? That's why we brought guests on, huh? Aren't you guys supposed to keep us on board?
Yeah, that's right.
But supposedly they just missed a couple of minutes. So if we want to recap over that, what you were saying there, Mark, because I'm guessing that they missed the majority of what you were saying.
I was just
Google.
I don't even know what I was saying. I know I was saying a lot of things that make sense in my brain. I don't know if they make sense when they come out.
Well, Mark, I was hanging on to every one of your words, and you were talking about it's not a bad thing that however it manifests itself that people are engaged, right? If it's only being able to tweet on Twitter and a couple of things, and that's where the extent of their now I may be misrepresenting what you were saying, but that's what I heard you saying was that you celebrate that you
I would say two things. One, I would say if realistically that's all they can do, really good. But if they are doing it and they could do more and they're not, they need to fucking do more.
Right.
Right.
I think that's the point you're saying.
Right. Well, I wonder. I'm curious about the four of us. So here you go, guys. I'm gonna take over your.
Are we agreeing on this? Are we actually agreeing?
I'm gonna pull you guys.
I said it wasn't gonna be a debate. I don't debate people.
Right? No,
No,
we have discussions and dick jokes on this show.
So you guys
so
did prepare a 10-minute closing argument, right?
Let me ask you guys what is the minimum that you would accept from somebody's contribution to the community, to the fight? What is the minimum? Behaviorally, if you could pick out one behavior and you said, okay, I'm okay, and this is permanent state. This is not a new person to atheist who is scared out of their mind to speak up at all. This is somebody like the four of us who's pretty comfortable. What is the bare minimum that you would accept?
If I understand what you're asking, I think for me it's just that they're confident enough to say that they're an atheist just because of the negative connotation that comes with it. I want people to see, a lot of times this might be mind-blowing for people, but atheists are really good people. They're normal. They're not any different than anybody else. So I know, right? So I mean, at a minimum for me, I mean, it's a label, and a label is a way that we as humans help understand, describe, and help kind of congregate, if you will. But I think that for me, it's just a minimum of if they at least are confident enough to say, yeah, I'm an atheist. This is what I believe, or I'm confident in what it is that I believe or what I don't believe. I'm confident in my lack of belief. However you want to take that, but I think that's kind of my initial gut response.
David?
My minimum, shit.
Yeah, come on. He gave you 3 minutes to prepare.
Right? I know, right? Shoot. I think that it would probably be along the same lines, although I do understand that there are people out there who are in the situation where if they were to come out, it would be detrimental to their livelihood or even their safety. So, I mean, I can understand somebody being quiet in the real world. I would hope that the minimum that someone would do is kind of like, I think that Nancy is actually a pretty good example, because she is secretive about her atheism in public. She can't tell her family, or she chooses not to tell her family, but at the same time she turns around and she has her Twitter and she's active in the community in that way. I mean, I would think that at the very least, if you're going to be your minimum contribution is, if you can't contribute in your real world, that you should start a blog or start a Twitter and just talk to other atheists or something. Get connected in some way. It doesn't necessarily need to be physical.
Excellent. And Mark?
I would say that I would just encourage people to continually re-examine what they're comfortable with. If a person is only comfortable with doing one thing at one time, tweeting or whatever, maybe then they're more comfortable with wearing an atheist t-shirt through the airport, and then with people that they don't know, and then the next thing they may be comfortable with is wearing one to a place where they do know people, and then the next thing may be writing a letter to their congressperson about non-belief voters, or using the atheist voter hashtag, which is very important right now that American Atheist has going on. Like today, I've been tweeting at my local representative saying, I'm an atheist, I'm voting, I happen to be voting for you, so let your congresspeople and your local government know that you're an atheist and you're voting. But I would just say keep re-examining what you're comfortable with and keep challenging that.
Very cool.
What about you, Paul? What's your answer?
What about you, Paul? Not like we didn't give you 10 minutes to prepare or anything.
Right.
Well, if you head over to youtube.com/Quranify Me, you can check what I expect. I have expectations for people. I'm not going to lie. I expect, kind of wrap up what you guys all said, I expect action. I want to see something from you. If it's not safe, it has to always be safe. It has to be safe for you. So if it's not safe for you, what ways can you contribute? Can you do what Nancy Drew PI on Twitter is doing? Can you do, Heretic Woman's a little more vociferous than Nancy is in the community, but can you do that? Can you contribute anonymously or in a safe way to FFRF, Doctors Without Borders, something along those lines?
That's good. Financially, most people can do. I mean, that's a very good point. I should have said that too.
And that's what I want to see. I don't want to see people like, the Bible BS woman not do anything when a man's life is at stake, but then come right back to complaining about how hard it is to be an atheist. She's in America. I know which state she lives in. She doesn't have it hard, especially where she lives. She lives in a very liberal state. Mubarak didn't have that luxury. His life was threatened, and she bailed on him in his moment of need because it was going to take some sacrifice on her part. Those are the people I targeted with that video, and it doesn't take much. Imagine if every single one of us did just a little bit, just a little bit, instead of riding the coattails. How much easier Mark's next effort's going to be, because now he's got this bigger platform to leverage and go, hey, I need your help getting this out. Gotcha, Mark. I got your back. Here we go.
You pissed him off. He left.
Yeah,
I think he got disconnected.
Yeah, I think we
Check over again.
Yeah, I mean, going along with what we were kind of saying earlier about, needing to hide yourself and things like that. A Heretic Woman says, I hide my true identity, but also I try to be active whenever I can, which kind of goes along with the same thing that you and Mark were saying, Paul, where, like some sort of action, whether it's anonymously or, the donating or being some sort of part of the community. And I'll just pull up Nancy's comment here. And I think that also, those people that have to hide who they are, and like Nancy is saying here, welcome back, Mark.
Welcome back.
Or I guess
now he doesn't want to talk. He's pissed. He left.
That's
back.
I think it's loading up.
Yeah. But now that we got you back here, Mark, I'll bring up Nancy's question here. Kind of like what I was saying is that, the fact that, there he goes again, people have to hide who they are, and Nancy says the fact that Paul is wearing a mask right now is telling that.
Yeah.
Where,
right.
People have to hide their identity, and I think that's something interesting we could hit on real quick here.
Yeah.
I guess I think that's fair. I think a lot of people probably do need to do that for whatever reason. But again, I think that environment is probably always changing and hopefully getting better for them. And eventually they'll be able to do more with themselves. Not even outwardly, just be comfortable with themselves, being open about it. You know what I mean? So hopefully it continues to improve. And hopefully things like NormalizeAtheism can help improve it.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I was just thinking about is just being more vocal. Though it may not necessarily influence you to do something, it might influence your neighbor. Instead of the next person that you convince, if you say something about it, maybe it'll convince the person around you to be the change in your community or be the person that steps up and does the next thing. So I don't know.
But so
that might happen.
What do you think of that about that, Paul? Because I mean, you have a direct, you know, a direct effect of this thing where, I mean, you know, you do have to wear the mask, and of course that's because of the content that you talk about, but...
Right. Well, and to be a true behaviorist, let me restate what you just said. I choose to wear the mask, right? I don't have to. Just
right.
like
I mean, yeah,
don't have to not do anything.
We talk shit about Islam all the time too, but we don't take it to the same. You know.
Right. No.
Yeah. No. Not
I appreciate what you're saying. I just don't want to be a hypocrite and spend an hour talking about these people and then say, yeah, I have to wear this mask. I choose to wear it because I'm not that stupid. I want to wear it.
Ouch.
Oh, fine.
No. Okay, you guys aren't hearing me. That's all right.
What? Well, it's alright. I don't mind being called stupid. I've been called stupid a lot.
You missed what I said. I said I'm not that stupid to not wear my mask.
I'm not that stupid to... No, I get you.
Yeah, okay, we'll back brief on this stuff right here. No, but I mean, she's exactly right. It's almost like this this tangible representation of what a lot of folks go through with their own atheism. I lived in America's Southeast. I know what it's like to be an atheist in that kind of community. I personally know people who have lost custodial parental rights of their kids because of the fact that they were an atheist. You know, I've had to look another man in the eyes across the table over beers while he cried because he didn't know when he was going to see his kids again because his wife moved, you know, to another Bible-thumping place from a Bible-thumping place to protect the children from his atheist. So yeah, she's exactly right, and yes, that's why I fully support what Mark is. Even, and that's why I disagreed. I don't remember who you said at the beginning, Dave. Thought it was. I
got it here.
Targeted or
tweets.
I think it was James Lindsay, wasn't it? God doesn't.
Lindsay, yeah. See, I don't agree with James. I don't think Mark's effort is misguided at all.
Yeah, he's inherently misguided, and he thinks that #normalize not believing, which is the same thing atheism is not believing.
In a God. Just shortens it down. Like, not believing what? Like, you know, not believing that I'm or the Pope of atheism? I am.
I don't get that one. I don't get it.
No? All right.
Jeez, man.
Fine.
Jeez.
Forget it. Move on. Anyway, so we have 3 minutes before the end of the show.
Yeah, we are coming up on our hour. I mean, do we want to keep going, or do we want to... You think?
I don't want to keep going.
I was going to say, it's
right. It's what, 1 o'clock?
Right. I wanted to make sure, that we at least got everybody got a kind of a wrap up. So I wanted to kind of go with Mark to make sure that if there was anything you wanted to say or anything that you feel you didn't get to say or get out there. Otherwise, throw out your pimpins. Give us what it is where we can find you and things that.
I encourage everyone to continue to use the NormalizeAtheism hashtag. Use the do more than keyboard hashtag as well, which I also think that I started, but nobody's using that one yet. I am on Twitter at Mark Nebo, MarkNebo. I'm also on Facebook at the same place. I do have a Facebook page as well, but I don't admin that. Some other people are adminning that. So just follow my profile is the best thing you can do. Go to besecular.com. That is my wife and my company. When you buy items from there, now this is doing shit. Talk about doing shit. When you buy items from besecular.com, you can select along with like size and color. You can select any of the affiliate groups we have. Everyone from American Atheists, the Foundation Beyond Belief, Black Nonbelievers, and whichever group you pick. Yeah, there you go. Whichever one you pick gets 50% of the profits from the purchase you make for free.
Oh, I had no idea that. Sweet.
Yeah. The artist affiliates have a little bit different stipulations, but they can grow to making 50%. All of the nonprofits on there that are actually 501c3s already get 50% of the profits straight away. So it's free for them to do, and they never cost them anything. So that's actual tangible fun they get. Other than that, the Ramen podcast with R and Ra, which most of you probably like. Hopefully, you listen to it. We're on Spreaker, Stitcher, iTunes, and the website is thera-men.com. gosh, I don't know. That's it. I appreciate you having me on here. And I hope you guys invite me back. And if anybody else is watching this and they have a podcast, invite me as well.
Since mentioning Aaron Ra, I just got to ask, does anyone else, when they hear or see his name, they just feel like saying, Aaron Ra?
Yeah, I do. From like the Thundercats or whatever. Yeah.
It's Aaron.
Aaron Ra. Sorry.
And it's like it takes a while to get past that, but I mean, you drink some beer with the guy and you get the hang of it.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Right.
Well, are any of you going to American Atheist Conference next year?
I will as soon as I win that those
there
tickets.
You go. I was just going to say that. You can win tickets for free. I put a link in the chat. I put the link to the video you can watch, and please share that around as well. I encourage others to join up.
Definitely. I mean, we'll have links to both your and Paul's and our links and all that to Facebook's and Twitter.
And if you guys do a video to try to win the tickets, you got to get other people to watch it because the top 3 view videos at the end of November are going to be the finalists. So we have 1 in 3 chance.
Yeah, well, I'm a shoe-in. People drop everything they're doing to watch and listen to me, so
yes.
I can't wait. See, did you hear that sexy from Paul? He just can't help himself. That's why he wears that mask.
That's what it is. Yep.
Right. So, Paul, tell me. Same question, same opportunity, I suppose, to you.
Okay. Here's the thing. The last thing you leave people with is the thing that they remember the most. 3.3 million tweets and retweets for Bring Back Our Girls. Where are they? Yes, exactly. Hashtags by themselves do nothing. They are not change agents. We are the change agents. Only us, only human action, we're the only thing that changes the world. We have to be the change we want to see in the world. Get off the coattails and go do something, folks. And with saying that, you can find me at www.quranifyme.com, on iTunes and Stitcher, no longer Spreaker because it just wasn't worth the effort for me. Oh, and YouTube, I'm starting to make videos. Check them out. And I want to thank you guys for this opportunity. And I want to thank Mark for being a reasonable voice in a sea of stupidity when that hashtag went out. That was it was validating for me to go, oh my God, this guy's got a sensible brain, and it was such a pleasure to meet you, Mark. I wish it was better circumstances that we met, but I'm glad we had the opportunity to meet.
We're connected.
Me too. I can't wait to kick your ass in fantasy football.
Oh man, I got beat today by Carl, and he had 2 guys on bye that weren't even playing.
No.
Man. All right, guys.
Your fantasy football, freaking nerds. Right. I mean, we're sitting here trying to put together a Pathfinder game. All right.
Honestly, get back to Dungeons and Dragons. Get off this nonsense football crap.
You just called us nerds?
Yeah, dude. You guys sit around and wait for other people to make their plays and your stats. We control our destiny. We roll the die.
I have been spending weeks getting this world prepared so that I can get.
My cardboard sword is fucking spectacular. Wait until you see it. And I've stained my cloak. Oh, I cannot wait.
All right, nerds, I'm out of here.
Right. Yeah. Thank you much for being on here, Mark.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Have a good night. All right. So, Steve, did you have any pimpins or anything that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I wanted to pimp Paul from Quranify. Oh wait, he's already here.
Oh, wait, insert Dave complaining about that now.
Right, go.
He's already here.
Right? Come on. No, actually, I really wanted to pimp Nancy Drew. She is fucking awesome. She made that sweet, awesome poster out of nowhere. So thank you so much. And if you guys are not following her, why the fuck are you not following Nancy Drew? So she's almost as popular as I am. Try to get her up there. I'd really appreciate that. I know, there's that sexy again, guys. Hold yourselves till the end of the show. And I mean, other than that, definitely go check out the absolutely amazing Amanda Hayes from humanistmom.com, because she's got some spectacular blog posts about parenting, and whether you're religious or not, you can really learn something there. So go check out Amanda.
Excellent. All right. So, I mean, I really don't have any other pimpins or anything.
Of course you don't.
Of course, because
hate everyone.
Exactly. You have to be really good at your tweets to get a retweet from me. So
You do, dude. He doesn't even retweet me. No joke. Like, I yell at him all the time, like, dude, that was good. Come on. Please. He just favorites it. It's like
sorry,
having a
I
favorite.
just have a level of professionalism that needs to go along with
Obviously.
my Twitter. So.
Wow.
Obviously.
Yeah. But so, yes, so that was our episode, and thank you everybody who sat around to listen to us, and sorry about the technical difficulties. Hopefully we didn't lose too much of the episode. We'll try to edit out any dead air in our audio podcast. But Mark, although he's gone, thank you so much for coming on here. Paul, thank you so much for coming in here and being, the opposite side and everything and getting your opinion out there.
You guys treated me well. I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Steve, thank you so much for, of course, being here with me every Sunday at 9:30 Pacific Standard Time.
And you have a godless night.
Oh, what the fuck, man? No.
What?
No.
I wasn't sure if that was the wait for it, so or the
No.
pause.
Not really, no, because you can check us out at thoughtprophets.com. Follow us on Twitter at Prophetcast. Follow us on Twitter also at The Thought Prophets. Join in our discussion on Facebook by simply searching for Thought Prophets. Find us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, or go to podcast.thoughtprophets.com and watch our entire archive on YouTube by searching for Prophetcast. And with that,
You have a godless night.